Bonjour tout le monde, et merci.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending this announcement.
It's Mike Holland, Minister of Natural Resources, and it's a pleasure to be here and talk about the continuing work we're doing as it relates to the forests of the province of New Brunswick. For months, I have been talking significantly and at length about a forest for the future, a plan that will ensure that the history of the province of New Brunswick will connect with the future of the province of New Brunswick as it relates to forestry. In late October, I announced our first major step to increase protected and conserved lands, including freshwater, forests, and other wild spaces. That was a culmination of an announcement through the Pathway to Target 1 program. That allowed us to make a historic announcement where we more than doubled, the conserved and protected areas of the province of New Brunswick. And we're walking that out over the next 14 months to increase the footprint of conservation in New Brunswick significantly. In fact, it's the equivalent of adding 19 Fundy National Parks to the conserved and protected area of New Brunswick. A historic move that's going to allow us to do an incredible amount towards the creation of biodiverse and ecologically sustainable landscapes here in the province of New Brunswick. We're very proud about that, and it's always good to make history in that fashion. Now, this morning, I'm excited to share with you the next important steps we've had to move our plan forward. Now, over the course of not just the last year of being elected, but over the last number of years of being somebody that's been fairly engaged in the world of the outdoors, I've heard a lot of conversations take place, participated in a lot of conversations where discussions have been around about how we're running out of wood. Whether it be coffee shops or fish and game meetings or hanging over tailgates, the conversation's taken place about running out of wood. Well, our Crown Forest is healthy and it is growing. On Crown land, the growth rate of our forest, it actually outpaces the level of harvest right now. And even while increasing our conservation efforts, we could increase our sustainable harvest level today and into the future. The growth on Crown land is there and it is significant. Now, these options are possible because of our long commitment to the basic principles of good forest management, including silviculture. Since the early 80s, we've been committed to implementing a silviculture plan that will increase productivity in the forest. In addition to that, silviculture practices employ thousands of New Brunswickers. Improving productivity on a portion of the forest, it allows more opportunities in the rest of the forest, like the conservation gains that we have recently announced. When I took this job, it dawned on me very quickly that my job was to both cut the trees and to protect the trees, which feels like it's diametrically opposed. It feels like it's an effort that's very difficult to do. Now, intuitively, it seems like one is at the expense of the other. But from the time I took the position, I said, let's do both. Let's make it both and, not either or. And the forest productivity is allowing us to both achieve our conservation goals and our Crown wood supply goals. Now, while it's possible to increase the Crown harvest, like I just mentioned, today I am announcing that we will not be increasing the Crown wood supply for the next 5-year period. And this is going to allow us to do several things. It'll allow our forest to mature, which will create more value for New Brunswickers and for the forest industry. It allows us the time we need to work with First Nations and the forestry industry to find the best way to allocate future wood to companies willing to invest. And it's important to recognize that New Brunswick was built upon the forestry industry, and during this period where our forest is growing, we certainly will be looking to see where future opportunities lie as it relates to forestry. It allows us to do a full consultation with First Nations to understand their interests and how we can consider their rights. We recognize and respect that Crown forests comprise parts of the traditional territories of the Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples. In addition, we are committed to doubling down our efforts to increase the wood supply from private woodlots. This is important to us, and we believe this will benefit the forestry industry, private woodlot owners, and the economy. 30% of this province is made up of small private woodlots, which are owned by individuals, families, and small businesses. As part of our plan, we are also taking steps to improve opportunities for private woodlot owners in New Brunswick. Harvesting wood from private woodlots plays a key role in the overall well-being of the province's forest economy. And we believe confidence in the market is founded in good forest management and through engaged private woodlot owners. Our focus over the last year has been on understanding the current state of private woodlots in the province of New Brunswick. We have done an unprecedented level of engagement with private woodlot stakeholders to understand their core wants and needs. We have met face-to-face and interviewed well over 100 stakeholders in order to get a clear picture of what's working and, more importantly, what can be improved to better serve the sector. This information has been of immense value for us to identify opportunities within that sector. What we heard from our stakeholders is a forest management solution is required. We believe that good inventory, strategic planning, a commitment to silviculture, landowner education, and cooperation in the sector are all parts of that solution. Our vision is to have a well-informed private woodlot ownership who are active in the management of their property, committed to long-term sustainability, see their forest as an asset, and are proud to be involved in forestry in the province. This is our heritage, and we want more people involved and participating in forest management. This will be good for the forest and good for the economy. To this end, government will be setting timber objectives for private woodlots, which will be accompanied by a long-term silviculture strategy and the resources to support this. We are finalizing a long-term timber supply analysis, and my department, along with marketing boards, will ensure that this target is reviewed regularly. We will also be exploring options to optimize services from the private woodlot marketing boards in order to inform government of potential options moving forward. An engaged, informed, and interactive private woodlot marketing board system can only serve to help increase the flow of information and therefore allow us to create more opportunities. This initiative is focused on ensuring an optimal client experience for private woodlot owners and other stakeholders. No matter where a private woodlot owner is in the province, there needs to be a clear, consistent, and transparent system in place to get their wood to market and assist them with their forest management goals. Additionally, government will refocus the New Brunswick Forest Products Commission to ensure the purpose and the direction of the commission is implemented and well functioning. We believe that the commission can provide invaluable information to woodlot owners about markets, wood values, and costs that will get them re-engaged in management. And to tie all of these steps together, we will develop a one-stop online hub for private woodlot owners. We know that the private woodlot owners want to be able to make informed decisions about the management of their property, of their own woodlot. And whether you're managing for wildlife habitat, for conservation, for environmental responsibility, high-quality timber products, or as a legacy for your family, this site will be a location and a source of information that is trusted, unbiased, and relevant. The importance of New Brunswick's forests cannot be underestimated. And I've spent more time meeting New Brunswickers to talk about fish and game and forestry issues than I believe that any of my predecessors ever have. I've personally traveled the province twice from every corner. And in that process, New Brunswickers want to know more about how and why we do things in the forest, what the forest industry is made of and what they do, and how we conserve forest biodiversity. In those travels and in those meetings, and whether they be small encounters at a coffee shop or standing before a large group of people in different sectors, I've heard loud and clear that we don't tell our story well. And I'm committed to ensuring that the Department of Natural Resources, as it relates to management of our forests and all of the aspects that it touches, I firmly believe that we can change the way that we interact with the province. Because when I took the job, when I came into the Department of Natural Resources with a significant amount of history outside of the department, there was a lot of things that when I brought to the table the staff came to me and said, well, that's a little bit different than reality. The perception that I had had, the information that I had was incomplete. And I wasn't alone, and I'm not alone. There's a significant amount of New Brunswickers that are passionate about the way we manage our outdoors. So we owe it to them to give them the accurate information in a transparent way. Effective public participation in decision-making depends on the availability and accessibility of full, accurate, reliable, and up-to-date information on our forest and forest management practices. Information sharing is key to delivering better, more efficient services that are coordinated around the needs of all New Brunswickers. New Brunswickers expect and deserve transparency in the management of their natural resources. We need citizens to be well informed about the practices they see when traveling through our woods and have a sense of value this resource brings to the province. We will be unveiling at a time in the near future what we're calling a DNR dashboard, where anybody in the province of New Brunswick, regardless of status or location, can look up and see exactly what we do, exactly where we do it, and the way that we unfold any of our forestry practices in New Brunswick. It's important so that if somebody is having that conversation, they need not guess or speculate. We will have an online resource that allows people to immediately see and verify what's being done. I'm very proud of that, and I'll have more details to share on how we'll lift the curtain on forestry early in the new year. So today, basically to summarize, we'll not be increasing the Crown wood supply for the next 5 years. We will be doubling down on our efforts to increase the wood supply from private woodlots through a variety of means involving the boards and the Forest Products Commission. And we will be offering transparency in regards to forestry unlike never before and available to everyone. This is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal we had prior to being elected, wrote into our platform, and being walked out here today. I feel very proud to be able to talk about this, the next layer of the work we're doing to create that forest for the future. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Minister, will we see the private woodlot would become a larger share of the pie then? By how much over the 5 years?
Well, the plan is that we immediately begin the work with the New Brunswick Federation of Woodlot Owners, and we work with the Forest Products Commission to identify areas where we can grow that supply. Ultimately, that's the goal. I don't have a specific target on that, but by engaging these key stakeholders, we'll be able to put together plans and strategies that will be able to show us what kind of opportunities we have and or increases into the private wood supply into the market.
As you know, the U.S. industry went after New Brunswick's exemption when they argued that the crown wood was becoming too big a share and tipping it into subsidized, in their view. Do you accept that, and is this designed in part to address that?
This is part of the, like I said, the progressive plan to put together a holistic forestry outlook and a forest for the future, to include the biodiversity that we dealt with Pathway to Target 1, to deal with private woodlot owners. The Intergovernmental Affairs is doing a significant amount of work on those tariffs. My focus was to be this announcement and the work we've done and plan to do is simply a reflection of what we're hearing on the ground in an effort to ensure that we've got systems that are working. I'm working based on the requests and the requirements that we've heard from all of those above stakeholders. IGA is taking the lead in dealing with that.
They can take that to the U.S. industry or to Washington and point to it?
I'm confident in both the Premier, Intergovernmental Affairs. I'm confident in the fact that we will do what needs to be taken place, and I'll do at home here what needs to be done to ensure that our stakeholders are looking like we're moving into a new day where things are productive and positive.
One more thing, with the marketing boards, when you say refocus, does that will woodlot owners still be able to go around them and sell directly to the large mills?
Well, with what we've talked about here, in the doubling down on the work with the private woodlot owners. What we're going to do is work with them to create consistency throughout the entire province. We've got 7 boards in different locations. We've got the Forest Product Commission that plays a key role there. And essentially, similar to what we've seen in other aspects of this government, is we're gonna look at the framework we have, find areas that we can become better, find efficiencies, and tighten those areas up to be able to create an opportunity to say, we have a product to sell, and there's a market for it, and we've got something that moves into a system that works for all concerned.
Do you have, what is the report on the industry that we've been waiting for months?
Well, IGA has been handling that. I haven't seen that report. I believe it's not completely ratified and finished, and I'd defer that question to my colleagues over there as it relates to the report.
Because I guess those kind of elements could be in that report, right?
Well, I mean, you've got a variety of different things that are taking place in other areas. I know that what I'm talking about is a reflection of the work that we committed to do through our platform and a result of dealing with stakeholders.
And at your point of view, those kind of measures, how would it impact on the industry?
Oh, on industry, the announcement today?
Yeah.
Well, I believe that there's a couple of factors there that talks about us having opportunity here. The hold on the not allocating future Crown land for 5 years. Well, what happens to a tree if you leave it alone in the woods? It grows. Okay, that is going to be something that helps grow our wood supply into the future. I believe that the forestry industry is and will play a role in the economy of New Brunswick for quite a long time in the future. And we've got a situation now for a 5-year period that resource will continue to grow. We will see that there are opportunities to use that fiber for in the future. We look forward to that. But both and while that process is taking place, we can address and put some attention on some areas where our private woodlot owners, other aspects of forestry, conservation, we could be doing a lot of things at the same time. And I believe that we have the ability to do this in a way that affects all aspects of forestry in a positive way.
You talk about optimizing services within the private woodlot marketing boards, which suggests that they are currently less than optimal. Where have they fallen down?
Well, I'm not a member of any particular board, but I do know that I meet regularly with the New Brunswick Federation of Woodlot Owners, the Forest Products Commission. I know that we've done some things that have never been done before. We actually pulled a round table together that brought people from industry, boards, the supply chain, government, and industry together to talk. And within the conversations, and with any industry, there's always refinements and areas where the improvements can be made. The framework is there. And what we're saying is that the government is standing here committed to ensuring that we take those bodies that are involved in ensuring that supply chain thrives and see that they become incredibly productive. They're working in conjunction with each other, not in isolation from each other. And the direct result of that is going to see results in a positive way.
You also mentioned that you were going to refocus the New Brunswick Products Commission and have them, quote, re-engaged in management. Have they been disengaged?
Once again, like I said, I've come in with a perspective of a holistic approach. And I've had a chance to meet with the commission, with the boards, and like I said, I believe in an unprecedented fashion, more stakeholder meetings than we've seen throughout this department in a long time. And whenever there's an opportunity to bring all of these people together in the same environment, in a stakeholder situation, there are areas where we can do better. And it's not an indictment on what's being done, but it's a call to raise the bar and do better.
Just 2 more things quickly. I assume no increase in the Crown amount over the next 5 years is permissible under the 25-year agreement.
Yes.
And to what extent does this address what the Auditor General had to say in 2015 in your mind?
Once again, I've deferred all of the relation to that to the Intergovernmental Affairs Department. I focused on what was brought. Oh, well, in regards to that, I haven't dug very deep into that component of it. In the event that things I do are a reflection of improvements in the industry, then that's a tremendous byproduct. But I've had a very myopic focus on the fact that I want to see all aspects of this sector improve, and the work I've done and the announcement today is a reflection of that.
Did you give the big industry players a heads up that there's going to be no increase to the groundwood?
Stakeholder notifications had gone out prior to the announcement.
What kind of reaction did you get?
You know what? We had lots of conversations with folks in regards to what this means, where we go. All of the conversations were centered around opportunities.
So it was a positive reaction?
Well, I mean, I wasn't involved directly in all the stakeholder reactions. I'm sure that if I had sat there through all the phone calls, there would have been comments back and forth. But I tell you, this was, like I said, something that we committed to prior to entering government. It's the collection of the entire industry moving together. The entire industry working with conservation stakeholders, working with multi-use aspects for forestry, working with everything to create that forest for the future. I'm very proud of what we've done so far, what we're talking about today, and I look forward to seeing those results coming forward in the future.
Any further questions? Just report. Maybe afterwards? Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.